welcome back to Leicester Fan TV. I'm joined by Reedy again. Another tactics talk, Reedy, a very important one going into the Spurs game. 7 losses in a row from Leicester. Not really what we want to be saying going into this after the past couple games, but this is where we are. A few interesting things to talk about going into our lineups and ahead of the game, Reedy. Player bust-ups in the changing rooms after the matches and silly comments. Apparently, rumours have been said by Ruud, players like Oakley, about he's bad because his boots aren't good. And obviously singling out Buonanotte as to, him not performing, which is why he's not been playing, which I think most fans would disagree with over the likes of IE. But really, a massive game, for us. We need to start turning things around. By the sounds of it, Reedy, Ruud's definitely lost the changing room.
Well, I've not. I've heard things. I don't believe they're true.
They're true. Yeah.
I don't believe they're true. I feel there's just a lot of speculation around everything at the moment with players not signing and just everything going on with the club. There's too many things to talk about for reasons why the club is in the state it is. But again, I don't know what's true. I don't know if it is true. And looking into this game now, you've got to see that on paper, they're just as bad as form as us, other than the one draw they've had. So I know they've not lost 7 in a row.
Said the same against Man City when they had lost 7 away games in a row and only drawn 1 as well. And they came and they still beat us 2-0, as much as it was a decent performance by us and by most fans' record. They would consider that an okay performance against Man City. It was still a 2-0, defeat and no points. So as much as we might be able to go and give Spurs a good game, we actually need to go and give them all 3 points. We need to go and get all 3 points from them in the position we're in. I don't think it's good. I do think a lot of the rumours are, somewhat they're based around true, especially because they've come from John Percy and the Telegraph. So, I think they're quite hard to be classed as rumours, and when they're more quite facts when they come from him, really, because he's a very reliable source and very close to the club. So from reading what he said, it wouldn't surprise me if the players go out there and play their own football. They don't want to play so much under Ruud, and
Well, remember the last time that happened, mate. Remember the last time that happened, we beat someone 5-0. So
yeah, I mean, there's 2 ways to look at it. They either go out there and play and actually do something, or they go out there and play really poorly to get Ruud out the door as quick as possible, which could happen. You never know with player power these days. But we'd like to hear your comments on a lot of the stuff that's going on. Obviously, it's a weird tactics talk going into it because anything could happen for Sunday. I expect we're going to play almost a very identical team to the previous 7 losses and go out there and get the 8th loss in a row, to be honest with you.
Nice negativity from you there, mate. Nice.
Yeah, but it'll be nice to see something change. But I don't think it's going to. I think
the problem is, mate, before we get into the teams, what can change? We've got
no formation at a bare minimum. What can change is you drop the players that are underperforming and you switch it up like any good manager. Like Palace did against us, like Fulham did against us, like Wolves did against us at times. They figured out how we were going to play. They changed it up, and we just keep rinsing and repeating the same record. And look where it's got us, That's my honest opinion on it, is if you keep trying the same thing, like Phil said, if you keep banging your head against the wall and walking away saying, why is my head hurting, it's the same thing. If you keep doing it, your head's going to keep hurting. And, it feels a bit the same Leicester. If you keep playing the same style of football, as much as occasionally we're pulling out a half-decent performance, we ain't scoring and we ain't winning any games. We're not even drawing any games. It's 7 losses in a row, really. For me, Ruud has to change it around. I expect him. I expect any manager in this situation to try something different. And if we go into the Spurs game the exact same way we have against Palace and Fulham and all the other teams prior to that, he can walk out the door. He can get fired. However he wants to leave, he can go, for me, because his time here is way more toxic than it was under Cooper, and I think a lot has gone wrong. I'm not saying that's entirely Ruud's fault, but if we're serious about staying up this year, we've got to change something to get us there. And a big part of it really as well is the board. We're not signing anyone. We're selling to Tom Cannon for 10 million, which in today's day and age is peanuts, to try and get a couple million quid into a new player, I imagine, in the next week before the window closes.
Yeah, we might as well get straight into the team, mate, because like you said, I honestly, as much as you say we need to change things up, right now, I don't know what you can change up other than the one player he brought in. I don't think there's much
Well, for me,
room
it's not
to
just
move.
about players; it's about formation and style. Like any good manager, like I said, you can have the players you got there, and at least what you saw in the Cooper was he did change it when he felt it was applicable, and it worked from time to time. As much as fans wanted to see this passing-based structured football, what it's got us so far is 7 losses in a row. And yeah, they might have been tougher teams, but I'll tell you for a fact, Wolves and Palace, they were no tougher than Everton, Ipswich, Southampton, who we picked up points from, uh, and they were away, a couple of those games, and yet we're sat here, 7 losses in a row. Something has to change, really, and I think most fans will see that something's got to change to really, flip the switch a little bit to get us motivated and going. Can it happen? Who knows? Are the board bothered? Is top bothered? Is the players bothered? At the moment, I think the only people that are bothered about staying up is us, really. As fans.
Well, you'd hope so. And again, you know me, I'm more positive than most Celeste fans at the moment, in my opinion, anyway. But go on then, Sam. Let's get into your team. I've got your screen up there. I've
Yeah,
guessed you're going for a back three because you want
yeah.
to change something up. So go on, mate.
I just, yeah. I mean, it probably won't happen, but I'm going to keep sticking with, let's switch things around. Let's try something different. Let's do something that's actually progressive and making a positive change into the team going into the match. I doubt it's going to happen, but again, I'm hoping that something does change as you know, like I say, any manager should do. But anyway, I'm procrastinating. Stolicic will go into goal for me again. I think he's looked okay. I don't think he's had much to do, but I think he's been okay when he does play. But not Ruud, Hermanson, I think he's still out for another couple of weeks. Seems to be can't be getting his groin, back to normal. His hamstring, I think, whatever he's pulled, it's still taking a while, as these things do. They take those kind of injuries. You just have to wait it out. And he still seems a bit unsure and unfit. So Stolicic back into my team. I don't think he's had too much to do in the past few games. I think, when we have conceded, the goals are just they're pathetic, really. It's like, it's just another rubbish goal to concede. And I can't remember the last time I watched a team score against us and just gone, what, that was a good goal, and not just because we looked poor. So, yeah, Stolicic is in my goal.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree, mate. There's no difference for me. Again, when Mad Simon's out, there's no change about it. You just put just put Stolicic in and hope for the best. Because other than I think his distribution's not the greatest. I think the same shop stopping as Hermanson, maybe obviously a bit worse, but for me, it's his distribution that's different from Mad Simonson. But it is what it is. But let's get into the defense.
Yeah, I mean, you want me to go first, or you want to go into your
mate.
defense?
No, go on, mate. You go first.
Again, I'm hesitant, but I'm going to do it. Vestergaard will go in the middle of my 3 centre backs today, or for Sunday. It is Sunday we're playing, isn't it? Before I get
It
ears,
is.
yeah. So Vestergaard goes into my team again. Like I said, defenders. I would have really liked to see a new centre back come in, but that's not going to happen. I think defence has been pretty poor all around. So again, I'm going to flip it around. I'm going to put Okoli at right centre back. I highly doubt again he's going to come into the team after what John Percy has said about a bust up over a pair of football boots.
If he changes his boots, mate, he might be on the pitch.
Yeah, it's something like that, isn't it? I can't. How petty is that from Ruud as a manager to you'd be dropping a player because he plays in a set of boots? I mean, God knows what's going on with that. But if it's true, and I assume the source has got. I mean, the source is John Percy, and he's very, very, very reliable source for Leicester City news. So when you read that, it's pathetic, isn't it? Really, when there's a lot bigger issues at hand, and it's like Jesus Christ, even the
it maybe shows you why Okoli's not been playing, mate. I know it's like,
but then it's a pathetic reason for him to not be playing because his boots.
It's hard. It's hard though, because then on the other side of things, you think, I don't know. I'm not trying to back Ruud in any way, but like for instance, I saw one game with Chelsea, and Cucurella slipped twice with his boots, conceded 2 goals. They still won the game, but the moment he slipped twice, he thought, I'm getting these boots off and changing to new boots. Like, don't get me wrong, maybe it's a big reason why you won't want to play him, because it might be a petty reason, but it might make us concede goals. You never know. Like, I've
not seen him do anything that with his boots that makes him look like a bad player.
I've not, but maybe he's eating in training. I don't know, but
I'm not saying he's the best player out there. I'm not saying he's the best centre back we've got, but for him to be nowhere near the first team when apart from a couple of maybe youth players. Every centre back we've tried this in the past 10 games under Ruud, they've all been pretty poor. So I mean, Okoli's the only one that hasn't got a look in. So I mean, I don't know, really. It's not my job. I mean, it's a weird situation. I feel like that's beyond petty between both of them. God knows what's going on in the background of that. But I'd put Okoli in there again just to switch things up a little bit. And I'm going to put Justin as my left centre back because, again, I just want to swap things around. So I'm going to put Justin back into my team, but as a centre back. And on the left side, because I just want to switch things around. And again, I'm doing things that people might disagree with, but nothing's worked in the past 7 games. If you could do a more traditional back five, with 3 centre backs, drop Justin out, put Cody or Fies in there. I can see it happening, but again, I don't see enough from the team that goes out there, and I struggle to really pick my starting 11 when I probably know going into Sunday's game it's going to be a carbon copy of what's happened in the previous 7 games.
Yeah, I think if I had to make a choice of you changing your team, I probably would just swap these around because JJ is better on the right hand side for me. Like, yes, he has been a left back at times, but I think Okoli's better suited on the left. So that's the only change for me, but I get the reasoning for it. I'll go into my team now then, and I'm going to stick with the back 4 because I think it's just what's going to happen. As much as I'm going to put my players in, I still think it's going to be the case. Right back, Wario Koulibaly. It's about time he bloody comes in. I'm sorry, but I know JJ's not been awful the last couple of games. I will say that he's not been woeful, but you've got a new player in. Play him. Hopefully, something changes with that player coming in. And on the left-hand side, like I say, we say every week, I don't think he's been that inconsistent recently. So Christensen comes back in for me. He's not amazing, but he's good enough for me, and in my opinion, to keep us up if we can stay up. But I don't know, with a whole defensive line, it's hard. But when you've got individual players who I think got the quality in there, I think maybe they could keep some teams up in the league. Maybe not us, but I think he's got good enough qualities. If he can get to a Champions League spot for Serie A, he must have some sort of ability.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. And obviously, he had a good loan run last year. Premier League's a very different story. Definitely.
I get that. Yeah, I get that.
Fast-paced league. I like him. I think he plays with a lot of passion. I don't think his quality backs up his passion, which is a shame. But at least he tries. But it really doesn't mix in well when you've got players around him that are bad and also don't try. So I think he's making himself look better by at least trying on the pitch when you see the other players around him that don't really try, not putting the effort in. And Ruud said that, and I think we've said that a lot this season. That these players, they don't look arsed, they can't be bothered. That they're not good enough quality wise. They're lazy on the pitch. They don't want to put it out there. And Ruud pretty much said that, obviously in a more PC way for the radio and the press, that the players aren't even doing the basics right, which I agree with. When you look at the pitch, it's not hard to get the basics right, which is defend and score. And at the end of the day, it's a mix of it's Ruud's responsibility to make sure that they're firing on all those forms. He's been in now for the best part of 2 months, if not probably pushing 3 months now, to switch things around and get stuff sorted. But who's motivating them? Because Vardy's not motivating them in the changing rooms. Ruud as a manager's not motivating them to do anything.
Yeah,
it's a tough one, really. And we'll go into the Spurs game. We'll see how that is. And yeah.
I'm going to pick my defenders now while you've done yours. I've gone Vestergaard and FaZe. I think the last couple of games FaZe has started, I actually think he's been decent. I don't think he's done much wrong, in my opinion. Maybe that break out of the team maybe did him a bit good. And obviously, since Ruud's been in, he's preferred FaZe to be either coming on or to play him. So for me, stick him in there. I know there's rumours about him leaving at the end of the window, at end of the season if we don't stay up. So I get that point, but I still think he sticks it in there. And I think the difference, what we need in FaZe that we haven't got in someone like Cody, is you need that aggressiveness. I know you might think it's a bad thing for him, but we looked best when we go forward and we attack direct more and be a bit more aggressive on the ball than just sit back and pass the ball around the back. So for me, FaZe is in there.
I agree. I think you're right when you say that we look better when we attack the ball and we do less passing around the back, but that's not going to change. That is going to be how we play against Spurs. because it's whether it's how the players want to play, whether it's how Ruud wants them to play, whether it's a mix of both. I mean, we create nothing going up top. I think Faye's, he has his good moments and he definitely has his bad moments. I think he's an okay centre back. I think he probably would look better in a winning team. I think he's one of these players like a bit of a Damari Gray-esque where he'll make a mistake and he's looking for anyone to blame but himself. He's very much, I can imagine he's quite a toxic centre back, and playing next to him, when you concede, it's probably quite, disheartening, or, so to speak, it's probably disencouraging you when you're trying to get the motivation back up and you've got a centre back flailing around. That's my only issue with him. I think he is a decent player at times. I think he's way too hot-headed and he's also way too quick to blame other people. But like you say, Reedy, it's a pick between A, B, C, and D, and those four centre backs that we have at the moment, not one of them is a first team starter that really is deserving their spot in the squad. But we ain't got much to pick on.
No, we haven't. Right, let's move into your team for the midfield, mate. Go on for it.
Again, I mean, stuff's going to change obviously because of like what's happened. This is what I think, or who I would like to play. I can probably guarantee that Ruud won't play, especially after what's come out in the news the past few days, even today and yesterday. But in my two central defensive mids, Samari gets in there. I guess again, I think he's had a pretty poor past 2 or 3 games. I think he's been way too easy to get around. I think he's been lazy and he also gives the ball away way too easily. Whether that's because he's not got Ndidi next to him to make him look a bit better, who knows? But past few games, and whether it's just because the team in its whole, losing 7 games in a row is definitely a massive confidence knock. So I just think recently he's been lackluster, lazy, and he's not been, the Samari we saw alongside Ndidi in those couple of games. And he's pretty much shown us what he came in and did when we first signed him. I think he's just being lazy. And if you watch any of the highlights from the past 3 or 4 games, his tracking back for a couple of their goals is beyond woeful. But, again, I'm saying all these things. I can't say anything like nice about any of the players at the moment because I don't think any of them really deserve the spot. But yeah, Samari in my team as a defensive mid. And it's probably going to have to be Winks again, as average as he's looked. Who else do you play? Because Skip is also very average. I mean, who else is there a centre mid to put in there really at the moment? Maybe Chowdhury, I guess, but apart from that, who else?
There's no
exactly.
We've got nothing to pick from, mate. I think when Ndidi comes back, there's every
if he comes back, by the way, rumours of him going on loan to Monaco, which is beyond ridiculous. Imagine loaning out your best defensive midfielder this season to a team.
If that happens, we're done for.
That is bonkers. The position we're in, it's considered to be, a loan option to Monaco.
That's throwing the season away. That is.
If that happens, honestly, stuff's got to change on the board, really. And even people like Top has got to take a long look at himself in the mirror and say, "What the hell am I doing with this club to be loaning out?" Especially considering he's been out for a few months, and the fact that he's on the verge of coming back to being fit and starting games. I don't know if he could start against Spurs. He's probably a couple of weeks still.
He's not. He's not available yet.
But I think he's in training now. But I think he's 1 or 2 weeks away from being fit. But the fact that we want to loan him out, or it's even an option, is quite. I think it's quite bonkers, to be honest with you. But I think you're probably going to agree with me. Again, I think we're going to have a fairly similar team, just a couple of scattered places. I think you're just going for a carbon copy of what's happened in the past 7 defeats.
Yeah, I'm going to put Simare Tori in there. I don't know what who else to put in there. Because I feel like you need someone defensive, because Simari isn't that defensive-minded player. He's more the box-to-box, where you need someone like Ndidi to be that role, where I don't think Winks, as much as he's good on the ball, you basically got the same sort of player in both being box-to-box, and there's no actual defensive-minded player there. So I just don't know who there is to take the role. I would say Skip, but he's just not great.
No, he's not looked very... He looked good in his first few games, his first few cameo appearances, but then he got dropped.
Do you know what? I'm gonna go Chowdhury, because I feel like you need some more defensive cover in there. I know he's not great, but looking at it, the reason why we've not been winning since Ndidi has been injured is I feel like we've lost out on that defensive minded area. Like you win and draw a game with Ndidi and tomorrow as your middle two. The moment you lose Ndidi, you don't win a game on the at all. Like I think there was a stat like a few years ago when Ndidi's out, you lose so many more games than when he's in. So for me, you've got to have someone more defensive there just to help Sumare have freedom to go up the pitch. So
I
for
mean,
me,
here's an interesting stat. Every game that Vestergaard started in the Premier League for us, I think it's like 18 starts, and I think he's won one. I think that was the stat. That in
isn't
18
that for
Premier League
most
starts
players?
for Vestergaard.
Isn't that most players? Like
I,
Christiansen,
I want to.
he played the majority of the games.
Well, I'm on about his time. No, because it's not the same. Because Christian's played a lot of games this year, and it's definitely a lot better than that. I want about also.
Well, I was going to say we've only won one game, haven't we? We've only won like 3 games. Sorry.
Yeah, but
So
I mean,
realistically, it's going to be the same
more
for
than
everyone.
Vestergaard. 2 more than Vestergaard. Anyway,
Maybe.
That was just a stat. Not saying that's his fault entirely,
No.
but
Right, go on then. Your wing backs or your wingers?
no wingers in my team because they're rubbish. A lot of them. My camera's going out of focus there. Yeah, see if it'll come back in. There we are, a little bit. I'm sure I'll go back in a minute. Wing backs. I'm dropping out my wingers entirely because they've been rubbish. And I think I need, again, like I said, in the past few games, we need to swap it around. Christiansen, left wing back for me, and goes back into the team again, but I want to play him a little bit higher up the pitch. Let's try and fix this camera. No, it doesn't want to focus on me today.
Because it doesn't want to see you, that's why.
I know.
It's talking
I'll
rubbish.
go close enough. It's just zoning me out, so you don't have to see what I'm talking about. Then Koulibaly, right wing back. I agree with you. You sign a new player, you got to play him at the very least if you want to, change things around a little bit. I'm not so sure what he can do as a wing back. I'm not so sure if he even is a ring.
I think he's more of a wing back than he is right back, to be honest.
Yeah, but for me, you got to try him. There we are. I'm back in focus now. Got to try him out. Scrawling your face at me. I think I heard again. These are all rumors. It's just all rumors and nonsense at the moment. It's nothing to do with football really. It's just all the gossip. But apparently his papers weren't ready for the Fulham game after we signed it. So we signed him on the Wednesday night when we played Palace. His papers weren't ready, which is I think that's fairly standard and normal for these kind of things. But he goes into my team for Spurs, and hopefully he can change things around. Hopefully he's the saviour of this season, because that's about the only player I think we're going to sign.
Well, you'd hopefully we get 1 or 2 more. Now we've got rid of Tom Cannon. There's every chance you should be going for more players. If you don't spend that £12 million, then we already know what the situation is. But you've got money to spend there. Use it. Don't, even if it is £12 million and nothing else, you use that money. What was the point in calling him back? That's the first thing. Right, my attack. I think I want to change it, but I don't think we can. It's so hard.
We got to do something.
Do you know what? Why do every game I feel like if Mavadidi shows up, he'll do something, but then he does nothing, and then I'm like
over halfway through the season now, and he hasn't turned up to one game.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I feel like it's Spurs. He might actually give it a go because he's playing because he was an ex-Arsenal player. So why wouldn't he not?
Well, yeah. I mean, you say the same for a lot of your games. Why didn't he turn up for the Arsenal game when he played? Didn't turn up for the Fulham game. This is his time. This is his big break. He's 26 years old. He's never gonna hit any more prime time player for him. This is his time as a winger to do something, and he's given the chance to play in the Premier League. I don't know if he's. I think he's just shown his quality. Really, I don't think he's doing it on purpose. I think he's just just how he is as a player.
I was really debating putting El Khanous on the left and Bonanotte in the middle, and having someone like Ayew on the right, but I've got to have El Khanous in the middle because I just feel he's playing best there at the moment. I think out of all the players this season, other than his debut, he's our best player we've got at the moment. And we obviously saw what happened against Fulham when he got brought off. But El Khanous for me, he has to start every game this season now. I think yes, at times he doesn't do too much in the form of like creating assists or goals, but off the ball, he runs. He doesn't stop running. And for me, Well, again, you might think differently, but for me, I think he does create stuff. We're just not finishing the chances we get.
I mean, when I see him, he offers nothing going forward. He loses the ball all the time. He can't track back, and I think he's one of these players again who runs around and he can take on one or two players and looks okay. But for me, as an attacking midfielder, he does nothing. He doesn't create any goals. He doesn't shoot for one.
I think he creates them. We're just not finishing them off, and he gets nothing. No, like
I've
assist
not
or
seen
goal
him
for it.
personally create anything of significant, significant, I don't know, creativity. Maybe I've seen it once or twice, but as an attacking midfielder who's, meant to be, I mean, what you say, a Madison replacement. I mean, I wouldn't, just an attacking mid, maybe a Dewsbury replacement. I don't see him offering too much. I think he's okay. I think he's got a lot of flaws. He's a young player, and obviously these are things that take time to work out. But we're in a situation where we can't really work out the kinks of players and find out what does and doesn't suit them. And like I said, I'm not slating him too much because I think he's looked on the better side. Because I think at least he's trying to get the ball around players. But I think again, his football brain, his football decision making isn't quite right. I think he's quite poor at tracking back when he needs to and finding the right man. And when he goes forward, I think he's decent at taking on one or two players and passing it. But he's very good at losing the ball as well. I think in those situations, and they're the kind of things that we can't afford to happen. And against Spurs, as much as Podglia, however you say his name, I think I butchered that a little bit, but their manager and Podglia, however you say his name.
Orange Podglia, yeah.
There you go. Some weird name, Australian fella for Spurs.
Do you know what? Before we move on, I'll obviously put one I'll say in there, but we'll bring a few comments up. Common boy from Bangladesh says, breaking news, Danny Ward is finally alive in the training ground. Prayers to the Leicester fans. Nice. We need to make changes, drop wings, Vestergaard, Vardy, Justin Mavididi. But then, Tamas, who do you replace for him? Like, who do you replace for him? That is the problem. We're stuck in the middle stage.
You're replacing A for B in that situation. It's not, you're not replacing, like you say, you drop Vardy, but you put who? Daka in, who's doing nothing. You replace Winks, so you're going to put Skip or Chowdhury, who are both doing nothing. You take out Justin and you put the new right back in, which is what we've both done. How can you do?
Nice photo, mate.
Picture, yeah.
But yeah, we'll move into your team for the attacking midfielders, because I'm guessing I know who's the next two going to be in.
Yeah, I mean El Khanous and Buonanotte, as much as I've given El Khanous a little bit of bash in there, I still think he just needs to be higher up the pitch, and I think he needs to work out, like I said, a couple of those kinks. I think if we were on the counter attack, I think we'd play a lot better if you played that counter attacking football. I think we're way too slow. I think this team is ideal and suits counter attacking football. I think every player that we have, including Vardy, if we played a bit more like Forest have been this season, I could see us picking up way more points than we have already than this silly passing it around. And as much as I know people like yourself, Reedy, you like that style of football, and it's perfectly fine to enjoy it a certain way. It just doesn't work for teams like us in our situation. You need to have a proper team and proper expensive players, a bit like Man City. And, look at us last year. It worked for the majority of the season, but we had a £250 million team in the Championship. We definitely have a worse team this year than we did last year. We've not replaced a lot of those. Even the sub players were 10 times better than what we got this year. Starting players. I mean, I could go over it like Dennis Pratt, Kelechi Iheanacho, players like that. I don't think. Yeah, Iheanacho was there last year, wasn't he? Did he go? Well, he stuck around, didn't he, for another year? Not in the championship. Iheanacho was.
Who's that? Iheanacho was there. Yeah, Iheanacho was there in the championship. Was he? Yeah. He was one of the. He started in the first game. Yeah. He was like
in the championship.
He was in the championship last year. Yes, he was.
I'm pretty sure he was.
He was.
Someone can fact check us in the comments, because
he definitely was last year.
Saying no over there, but I'm pretty sure he was. But anyway, like I said, digressing and going in a different way. Yeah, Vardy goes up top for me. I'm googling that now because that's going to bother me.
He was in the championship. We all
pretty
thought.
Sure he was.
We all thought at the start of the season, who was our main man up front because of how we kind of hold the
He
ball up?
was he was there.
It's
He
the
was there.
Iheanacho.
Phil's chatting absolute poo again, as usual. He was there last year.
Right, you say you're going Vardy up front.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I don't know who else you could put in there unless we signed someone today. But you know,
Well, I know
the only
I know
thing
who's
the only
up
thing
front.
we've done is sack. You know, not sack. I'm trying to figure the word out. The only thing we've done is got rid of, sold. That's it. Sold Cannon, who's looked decent in the Championship for Stoke. Obviously moved to Sheffield United. Can't blame him really. And again, an absolute masterclass from the board signing someone for 10 million who was injured just to sell him. A year later, God knows what's going on, Reedy. You've put Daka up there silently put him in your team.
He's going up there for me, mate. The amount of chances that Vardy's missed the last couple of games, I'm as much as I know people say, "Oh, it's Vardy, doesn't matter." For me, you can't miss that many chances and win a game. You can't. So for me, switch it up. Let Vardy be the impact sub when we maybe drawing a game or hopefully drawing anyway, and then you bring Vardy on to win it. Like for me, it'll be more impactful like that than to play a whole 90 minutes, get 4 chances and miss them all. So he knows when he comes on, he's got to finish the chance he gets, and hopefully the pressure will get to him and score it. So
you could see Vardy obviously in the past 5-6 games has missed his big chances. I mean, Daka in the past 4 or 5 years
we
has
we
missed
know
all his
Daka. I'm just
chances.
saying.
Yeah, Daka misses. Yeah, I mean, Mike's put it in there. He doesn't miss any of his chances, does he?
And I
Daka does miss a lot. So.
and I see the point of what JS is saying as well, that Tottenham Vardy loves playing against Tottenham. I get it, but I don't know. We need to switch something up. And I think when Daka's come on the pitch the last couple of games as a sub, I don't think he's done too badly. I know he's not scored really many, but
do you want to switch? Do you think playing a possession-based football game, especially against a team like Spurs away from home, is going to be the way to beat them or to get a point? Because it hasn't worked in 7 games. Do you think going even though Spurs have only got 12 fit players at the moment, do you honestly think going away to Spurs and trying to outpass a team that's got players like Richarlison, Maddison, Solanke, XYZ, I don't know if you are injured and whatnot, but even with the players that aren't injured and even their form they're on, do you honestly think we're going to go there and outpass them and outplay them? Because we don't do it against the teams at home like Wolves, like Palace. We completely capitulate against those teams.
But
I think away from home.
I don't think the way we're playing, as in the possession-based football, is the reason we're losing games.
I do, because I don't think we're doing anything. I think when we look like we get the ball, we slow it down ourselves and we pass it around the back. This is what Burnley did last year. This is what Southampton are doing right now. This is what we're doing, and look at how it's working. For me, it just shows you that it doesn't work. You look at a team like Forest, who on paper, they've probably got a team that should be at best 10th, 11th in the Premier League this season, but yet they're completely smashing it because they're outplaying these teams that are trying to play this possession-based football. For me, it just doesn't work, and I would actually like to see something different. I think last year under Enzo, it worked for the majority of the season, apart from those, last 10 games where we were getting found out a bit and they were getting a bit lackluster. This year, I've said it all wrong. I wouldn't play this possession-based football at all because it doesn't suit our team as much as the players like Harry.
Don't you think recently as well we have been lofting the ball up a lot more as well though?
No, I think we've done it once
have.
or twice. I think we've done it once or twice. I think the only thing that's changed a little bit is rather than Stolisic passing it out, he's booting it up the pitch, and we still lose the ball from a header. But for me, that's purely because every time we're passing it around the back in the previous games, even from a goal kick, we're giving the ball straight back to them. So you might as well have a 50-50 header on the halfway line than what has been certainly 70-80% probably conversion rate of giving the ball away in our own half from a goal kick. So for me, I don't like it. I know that fans think that it's the way forward and it's modern football. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me in this league when you got this level. If you give it a couple of seasons and that's how I wanted to play when you got some better players, you can maybe make a case for that. But right now, no, right now it doesn't work, and I think that's been proven in the past 7 games.
I can remember when we sort of signed him, and then before, oh, just give him to
I don't
OH
even know who he
Leuven.
is, to be honest with you.
We bought him from USA side. He's a youngster. We thought, oh, just ship him off to OH Leuven, to play there. But yeah, there you go. There's our team, guys. There's mine, and there is Sam's. Obviously, it's trying to get in a bit too samey now with the teams at the moment until we bring the new players in. But what can you do? What can you do? We're stuck in a rut right now. 7 losses in a row.
That's why you need to change it how we're playing.
Maybe
Not keep
so.
going. Like I said,
Maybe so. Maybe so. And I
you're
will
going to
say
keep doing the
now.
same thing. It's just not going to
I will.
work.
I will say now that I think from what Ruud said in the press conference after the Fulham game, he was even saying that he can't say now about playing pretty and not getting results. You've got to get the points. It's more important. And he did say we've got to look at it now and change things up. He said that. So you never know.
We'll probably play the exact same team as we
You
have
never.
done.
Like I say, you might play the same team, but you might play different tactics. You might play more of a three at the back instead of playing.
That's his job. He's probably 4 games too late. I think when you lose, especially when you lose to teams like Wolves and Palace recently, I think as a manager should be looking a lot earlier than 7 defeats in a row at how to change things around. I genuinely don't think we will. I think we're going to go into the Spurs game playing almost identical football. And if he thinks changing it around is, like you've said, really, you're changing it around is only putting in some different players. You're putting in Tim for
Hey,
Tap.
I'd like to see your football. I'm just picking the formation. Like I feel like I'm picking what Rue would do, and you're picking what we would do. Like I'm saying that right now, I'd probably would go for what you're going for because it means that I can take out Mavadidi. I can be a bit more direct.
You got to look at what's best for
I
the
don't think it's
situation.
going to happen. Like
I don't think it will either.
The first thing that you're going to have to look at when the team sheet comes out an hour and 15 minutes before kickoff on Sunday is the right. But if you see Koulibaly and JJ in that lineup, you know he's changed things up.
Yeah.
If he puts one or the other, then you know it's not changed up. So that's what you will see.
But it depends. It depends because if you see Justin Koulibaly in the team, but Christensen not in the team, then you're like, okay. Well, all he's done is put Justin left back.
I get that, but you have to just look at the defense because he could be playing JJ in the centre back role, or he could be playing 3 at the back. So you either look for the 3 at the centre backs, or you just look for if Koulibaly and JJ are playing and Christensen.
Yeah, I mean, the team news will come out. I genuinely think if you go back to your team second, and we'll end on a couple of bits. We'll end on what I think will happen, and also we'll do a score prediction. I think your team is about right. I think the only thing that will change is Chowdhury for Winks. I think Koulibaly won't start, and I think I could very easily see Justin just keeping his place and Koulibaly not getting his way in there. And Vardy for Daka. But again, I don't know if Ruud will change things. I don't know why he hasn't already, because he said when he came in at the start of his term at Leicester, he doesn't want to play pretty football. Yet all he's tried to do is play pretty football. And has it worked? Absolutely not, because we need performances. We need results, not performances. As much as the football may look okay to people who like that style. Like I know you've mentioned a few times that it looks okay, but when you look at the stats and you look at what actually happens on the pitch, a 2-0 defeat to Man City for me wasn't good enough, because even though we looked okay and we gave them a decent run, we couldn't score. They were in awful form for a Man City team where we needed to get something again against those teams. And if you're going to look at Spurs in the same light away from home, it's going to be tough, obviously, away. If they're not in good form, you need to go out there and try and get something at this moment in time, because if there's ever a time like there was against Man City to get something from Spurs, it's now. And
yeah, of course there is. You've got to go into this game. You've got to go into this game having every chance to win this game, because right now, with the players that got out and the form they're in, there's every chance you beat them on Sunday. Like there is.
If we change how we play.
I won't say. Thing is, I won't even say if we change how we play. I think you've got to perform well, like which we have done in certain games, which I know we haven't in some, but then you've got to make sure you're not making errors, because for me, out of all the reasons why we're losing games, that is the biggest error for me, in my opinion.
I wouldn't even say perform well. For me, the biggest way I think you should go and beat Spurs is make them run in circles for the whole time, because they've not got many subs. so tire out their
No,
key
I get that
players.
as well. Yeah, no, I get
And
that.
rather than playing our passing game football, I'd go out there and do end-to-end, end-to-end football. Anyway, that's just my thoughts, really. Obviously, we're going to have different thoughts. Obviously, you guys are always welcome to comment your opinions. Like I say, me and Reedy, two different opinions, really. But, we'll always agree to disagree at the end. And what we will agree on is a score prediction going into it, Reedy. Go on, give us a score prediction.
3-1 Leicester.
And give us a serious score prediction as well now.
3-1 Leicester.
There you go. Really saying 3-1 Leicester. I guess it depends on which Leicester really wants to turn up. If I could give you a better score prediction, when that TV
What do you mean better?
comes out.
What do you mean better?
No, I'll give you a more realistic score prediction.
No.
When
Realistic
the
is 3-1, mate. Realistic is 3-1, mate.
That's optimistic, very much. I'm going to go... I always want a Leicester win, and I think if there's ever a time, I'll go 2-1 win as well. You put 3 on. I'm going to go 2-1 because I think we need to go out there and get a win.
If there's any team to play right now, and even when we're playing the likes of Wolves and stuff, Palace and Fulham, on paper, were harder than this game coming up, and that's a fact. The fact that they were in better form, they've got more players fit.
Yeah, but so was Man City then. Yeah, but so was Man City then, and we lost to them as well. Because they'd lost 7 in a row away.
I know that, but the players they had out, yes, they had some very high-rated players out, but they haven't got as many players as what Spurs have right now. I'm just saying, on paper, right now, Fulham and Palace were harder than playing on Sunday.
Again, you can look at other teams. I genuinely think it's down to our own game of football. I think we're not playing football to the best way possible. Even if you play your team, because again, I'm just trying to change it up. But if we play your team, for me, you got to play a different style of football against them. If I watch the half an hour of the game and I see us just passing it around the back, they're going to figure that out so easily and they're going to catch us. And we all know Maddison's going to score, don't we? We all know he's going to score and do a knee slide into the corner.
No, he'll do his darts, but he won't be needing to do that, will he? So it's fine. Don't worry about that. We'll make sure we'll snap his leg out. We'll make sure we snap his leg. But yeah, appreciate all you coming on, guys. This has been the Tactics Talk for the Spurs game. There'll be a preview out with a guy from the last Word on Spurs tomorrow. I think around midday, so make sure you check that out as well. And then you've got Jamie's show for the Aftermath show on Sunday before the game, which is like the before Aftermath show in a way. And then you've got Phil's show on Monday. But appreciate you coming on. Sam, please end it, and we'll get out of here.
Just end it, that's it. Just end it.
Just end it before we talk any more rubbish.
Yeah, right, we'll do. See you later, guys.
Cheers.